So what you're currently hearing is the Milkman The Amp 50. It's currently running directly through my interface and being recorded directly in using its amp sim. Although if I wanted to, and I'll show you later, you can also plug this directly into a cabinet and use it as a tube amp head, since it features one 12AX7 tube in the preamp. The Amp 50 is a powerhouse and versatile hybrid guitar amplifier that made me consider making this my main gigging and practicing amp after plugging it in. And in this video, we're gonna dive deep into it, hear all of its sounds and effects, how it sounds with pedals, go over all of the things that this thing can do. I'll give you my honest thoughts, pros and cons, and talk about if this can replace your tube amp or your main amp that you're using currently. And also how this thing still holds up in 2025 since it's now reaching its 7th or 8th year on the market. Now, if you're new here or haven't subscribed, my name is Matt Kelly. I make all sorts of gear demos and reviews. And if you enjoyed this video or find it helpful in any way, please consider subscribing. Let's now dive in. I'm first gonna do a little real-time knob turning of the Amp 50 so you can hear how each knob reacts in real time as I turn it, and I'm gonna loop something. After that, I'm then gonna just go over all of its features, all of its specs and things like that. And then of course after, I'll give you more sound demos with different guitars. I'll give you my honest thoughts. So if you wanna see more of those things, I made time codes for you, so feel free to jump around. So as you just heard and saw, the Amp 50 features onboard reverb and tremolo with foot switches for each to bypass these built-in effects. It has a bass and treble tube EQ controls and then a master and volume control. Simple enough. Now running on the inside is a preamp based around a single 12AX7 running at a high voltage in a discrete Class A circuit. So your guitar will react with this amp like it does any other tube amp that you will use. And it just gives you those sweet tube tones since it has a tube in it. A lot of people when they see this, even including myself, I just assumed that it wouldn't have a tube in it because it's sort of like a pedal style amp, but it's in there. This thing gets warm, it heats up. Now it's also got a Class D power section delivering 50 watts into 8 ohms, 100 watts into 4 ohms, and then 25 watts at 16 ohms. Now one of my favorite things that I think will turn a lot of people onto this is its integrated headphone jack, which I have to say sounds identical to when you run it through a speaker. Although I rarely crank the master when I'm using headphones, whereas I would normally like to crank the master when I'm running it through a cabinet and then adjust the volume either way. That sort of helps me get more breakup. But with headphones, I definitely don't do that. It just gets insanely loud. So with that being said, it also does not need to be plugged into a speaker to work either. You can just plug this thing into the wall or whatever. You plug your guitar into it. You don't need to plug it into a cabinet. You don't need to put an XLR through an interface, anything like that. You can simply just plug in your headphones and you're good to go. So it's great for being quiet, for those late night jams. You don't have to wake anyone up. Now it does have an internal XLR output that provides balanced line output where you can go kind of direct into house if you're doing a gig, or the interface like I was doing earlier for direct recording, practicing, or whatever you want to use it for. So this thing honestly just keeps on packing on the features. Super cool stuff. It's also got a pedal level out, so you can just use this thing as like a preamp pedal or whatever as well. Oh, and it's also got a ground lift for that unwanted noise if you do have any. You can just flip that switch, gone. I feel like I'm going on and on, but this is all the things that it's included. So now what can you use it for and what is it not? It's not a modeler or emulator. Just get that out of the way. It's a straight up amplifier that will run on any voltage around the world. It does literally everything for you. You just kind of plug it in and play. So it's perfect for traveling and gigging. You can use this as your main amp. You could use this as your backup amp and probably would be one of the best backup amps you would have ever. You can use it as a preamp. You could use it as just a pedal or honestly whatever else you can think of. It's simple. It's straightforward. No menus. Like I said, it's a plug in and play kind kind of amp. It does have one cab sim option. It's just the one that they provide you. So you can use that, or if you're running into whatever other gear you have, you can turn that off and use your own as well. But that's really it when it comes to those kind of options. Making it very simple and easy to use without having all those options to deal with that you can sort of just get stuck in and never really stop. So let's now give it a listen, running through some different guitars. I'll just do a 335, a Les Paul Deluxe, and a Stratocaster. I'm gonna plug it through my 2x12 Victory cab. I'll mic up the cabinet so you can hear it pushing real air through a speaker and things like that. And obviously I'll throw some pedals into the mix so you can hear how this thing reacts to them. So what are my honest thoughts about it, and what am I primarily going to use it for? Now, first off, since I've gotten this thing, it quickly became my studio amp. It sits on my desk. I plug it both into my cabinet and it's into the interface, so I can use either or. I have multiple options of how to really record it when I'm doing sessions and things like that. I even use it for practicing. It's truly one of my favorite little studio desk amps that I've owned. Now, I'm sure as you're familiar with, a lot of tube amps and a lot of things like this with tubes, you can never really just plug them directly into your interface. You need other pieces of gear in between those two things. Whereas this, you can just plug it directly in. It takes care of all of that for you within the system, or whatever you want to call it. It just makes it even that much easier and more convenient to use. Now, I have not gigged with it yet, but if I do, I'm not sure whether I would bring my 2x12 cab and run it through that, or run it through the in-house system. Personally, I do like how it sounds through a real cabinet over using its built-in cab simulation. I'm also more familiar, and I normally use a Plexi style amp for my sound. So with that being said, the Amp 50 cleans up way better than those amps, but I don't get as great of those super gainy tones that I can get out of a Plexi, obviously. It does give a great edge of breakup and crunch sound that I normally like to sort of keep it at and then run my pedals and adjust them accordingly. And alone with just the clean tones, it's a chef's kiss. It really sounds great. Now, I sort of just mentioned this, but if you do really want the best sort of gain tones from the Amp 50, you should definitely crank the master knob and then adjust the volume knob and the EQ accordingly. That way you'll get the most out of it. But when it comes to clean and like those slight edge of breakup tones, it really doesn't matter too much where the master is in the volume, because all around, you're gonna get a great sound. Now, with all that being said, I honestly am far more likely to use the M50 over any other amps that I own currently. And that's primarily due to its convenience, versatility, and tones. In modern day guitar playing, those three things are the most important, to me anyway, which is why you truthfully cannot sleep on this amp. This thing could easily replace your clunky and big tube combo amps, tube heads, on just sounds and tones alone. But on top of that, all of its other features included as well. It kind of makes it a no-brainer to me. And especially when we're talking price, because this thing is under 800 bucks, I think. Now, it might not be perfect. I don't think any amp is perfect, maybe like a select few. But how I like to look at amps is that each truthfully does its own thing, and you just really utilize that best thing for each of the amps you own. Whereas the Amp 50 just has a little bit more versatility than the other amps that I have. So who do I think this amp is perfect for? This is for the simple Sam who doesn't need a million tone or cab simulation options or want to deal with an amp modeler, because it's not that. It's straight to the point. It has great sounds, and it's so easy to use in literally any situation you'll find yourself in as a musician guitar player. It's a perfect size, and it can be a killer main amp or an insanely even better backup amp. It runs around $750, I don't know about taxes and stuff, but comparatively to other options, it's super affordable. It's a killer clean amp with even better slight edge of breakup. So whether you're using it for like ambient, ethereal sounds or for a country gig, it'll help you get there with a wide range of different genre sounds. This amp, personally, I think it fits great into most budgets when you are looking to buy a guitar amp, since it's under 1K and has a tube and all those options. So if you're looking for an amp head that has a tube in it, or you're looking for like a studio desk amp where you can record quick recordings for sessions and practicing, or a great amp to travel with, and really whatever situations most people need an amp for, this will cover it, besides having a built-in speaker like a combo amp, obviously. So unless you really want or need a combo amp, you cannot go wrong with this thing. So let me know what your thoughts are about it down in the comments below. Let me know what you would primarily use it for. And do you think that this could possibly replace your amp now? Thanks as always for watching. You can check out other videos and gear reviews that I've done right around here. And consider subscribing, especially if you made it this far. So thank you, and I will see you in the next video.